Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man, and we're looking at today a Singer 401A, and not unlike a lot of days because we talk about these a lot. These slantomatics, the 401s, 500As, 404s, 403s, 504s, all these slantomatics, 301s, all these interesting mocha, tan, two-color, two-tone machines, rather. Great little machines made in Anderson, South Carolina, part of South Carolina that I did hard time, and I say hard time jokingly because I was in the Army at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in Columbia, and then I went to a little school there in Greenville, little BJU, little Bojo time over there in Greenville, and beautiful part of the world. And they built sewing machines back in 1958. And this is the cream of the crop. Steel gears, direct gear drive. You've heard me go on and on about them. I love them to pieces. And what's going on now is these are coming out of the closet. They're coming out of the storage. They're coming out of whoever's house, moved on. And now their family members are getting them. And this young lady over in Dallas who had me service this one, it was locked up this morning. And it was locked up. When I say locked up like it was welded, this one was really locked up. This is probably the most locked up I've had one. Usually you can get them to go, and there's a bearing that's resistant, and you have all your oil holes and down underneath. This one just wasn't going to have it. This one was locked up, so I had to start doing some disassembling, and I know you're tempted to do that too. And I always say that a sewing machine is not an instrument, it's an orchestra. So there's nothing that moves independently from anything else. When you move this, this moves, this moves. You see, everything's in action. Even the check spring moves, everything moves. So if something's locked up, everything's locked up. So you think to yourself, the hand wheel won't turn, so it must be the hand wheel. So you take the hand wheel off, doesn't help. This is not going, so I've had customers take all this apart in here. Oh my gosh, don't do that. It's never in there. A little oil in there and that's ready to go, unless it's got rust, and that's a different deal. It's almost always going to be some of your main bearings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top. It's always going to be that, but most likely, just like this one, it's going to be this rod that goes right up through. Let me crank this down so you can get a better look at it, so I don't get comments on why don't you get it, so we can see it. Right there, this shaft goes, it's on the bottom gear, this shaft here in the center. If you take this gear off, this whole shaft, you can tap it up and that whole assembly comes out up in there. What does it look like? I should have one sitting over here close by. Let me see. Wow. I rearranged my shop so all this there. I didn't do that bad of a job. See, this is what that is. You're looking at the bottom down there. That's what this is on that gear. You see this right here, right there. That's what this is. See, this is mounted in there, right like so. It's down underneath that needle plate. And when you open it up, that's what you're looking at underneath here. This thing goes around the outside. This outside circle here. Let's bring this back down. See this thing right here that turns right here. That turns. That's this. Turning around the outside of that bobbin case. That's the hook assembly. And then right here is where it gets dry. This is down into the bearing, the main bearing. So you have to, I get my handy, seen it a million times, penetrating oil. Oh yeah, there's it. Max Super Penetrant. And that's sitting down in there. And of course, this is up against the base, so you put it underneath there, get it down under there, and then it's a matter of working it back and forth. A lot of times it's not as reluctant as this one, and you can turn the hand wheel and it'll loosen up. This one I had to take this out and polish it off and put it back in, which is a real chore because everything has to come out. Position bracket, everything has to come out. I wouldn't recommend you do that, but you folks are pretty brave and you're always doing cool stuff that I don't recommend, but somehow you manage. So that's how this one here got unfrozen. And I'm here to tell you, it was locked up. Man, some of these are just, an hour, some 2 hours, depending on how locked up they are. this little baby here. But you know, it's worth it because you have a sewing machine that will last for generations. And it was her auntie's. Her auntie left it to her, so her auntie thought she was something special. So let me see if I can plug the power back in here after I flipped it all over the place and show you. When you get these out of storage, a lot of times you'll have to disconnect the hand wheel over here, like you're going to wind the bobbin. Don't engage the bobbin. You just want to freewheel the hand wheel, and you'll start it up, and it'll run real slow. It'll start out real slow. Sometimes smoke will roll out of it because it's been sitting forever and the oil soaked into the motor brushes. But you should run it, and it'll go through stages of speed. It'll pick up speed. It'll stutter. It'll stutter. It'll pick up speed. Stutter, stutter, stutter. Pick up, pick up, pick up. It'll keep going. It may take 5 minutes. It may take 10 minutes. But eventually, I tell people it sounds like a F-16 taking off, because around here, Air Force Base, where I'm near, we're familiar with that. F-16s, F-35s taking off, and it gets a high-pitched noise like that, and it winds down slowly. That's when you know everything's good. So you lock down your hand wheel, oil everything up, and away you go. And these are Scoot. They got a big old motor in them. Big old motor brushes, and they'll flat fly. I always do that stitch right there. That's a real good test stitch, because if it does that stitch, it means that your needle bar is going completely through. It's left, right maneuvers here. This is HL3 up here in the patterns and the top. Up here in the top, HL3. HL3, you put it on there. HL3. Straight stitches, AK. 1, 2, or 3 up here. A, K. Of course, whenever you're moving this, you always push this in, take this up and down. A lot of times it doesn't want to go, so you have to move this over, move that over, then it wants to go. Sometimes you always make sure it locks back into position before you try the other one, or it won't move. They're kind of persnickety. You go to move this one, you go, what the heck's going on? You move over there, up and down we go. You can fuss with these things if you don't know that little secret. Move this over here, move that over there. Opposite. If it's on the left one, you can move to the right. If it's on the right one, move it to the left. And that frees up your dial. Gets the cam followers off the cam on the inside. So that's a couple steps. Keep out of trouble with this thing. I'm doing this for the young lady so she can, you know, this was her aunt's machine. She's gonna have to know how to run it. Of course, winding the bobbin here to there, around there. I've done that for the 301 and the 404. I've done the bobbin winding thing a number of times, but it's an easy machine to operate if you don't let it intimidate you. Put it on AK3, straight stitch, and you're ready to go. Self-adjusting tension, and here's your threading diagram and everything. Drop in bobbin, and the bobbin turns, let's see, that bobbin turns counterclockwise when you put it in there properly. So all that stuff it's minor, but it helps get a great stitch. So make sure you don't use a heavy thread. Thread it properly. I'm going to thread it with this up. Go through your threading procedure. You'll get a nice stitch out of it. It's a great machine. The best machine that Singer ever made, and one of the best machines that was ever made by anybody. Singer 401A, made in Anderson, South Carolina, my old stomping grounds. Thanks.